White.
Here.
Schrader.
He's not on yet, but I know he is trying. He's going to be logging in.
Okay. Hinderman here. Pohl.
Here.
Bowden.
Here.
And Andrews.
Here.
Aaron, proof of giving notice?
Yep, notices are posted at both schools, sent to the village of Dickeyville and Cuba City Hall, as well as members of the media on Tuesday, August 16th.
All right, we'd like consideration of the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I will second. Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Our administrative reports, we'll start with.
We've got a couple people not feeling well today,
Okay.
so they're not here. A few people not feeling well.
So do you have anything for Deb? Or?
I do have hers. Let's see. Let's move on. We'll do Chris first.
Okay, we'll start with Chris then.
We've got hers here.
Start out, Miss Clayton shared that the high school band just completed their annual marching band camp that was held August 1st through the 4th. Students met in the morning, rehearsed music for their homecoming field show, learned basic marching skills on the practice football field, and competed in team building activities. Fall performance season will include the homecoming field show, the homecoming parade, Jamestown Keeler Parade, and various pep band nights during football and volleyball games. Mr. Clayton is running the middle school band camp this week, August 15th through the 18th. The 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students are preparing for their parade and marching band. Middle school and high school choirs will prepare for their annual fall concert in October when school begins. Theme for this concert is going to be inclusion and social justice. Cameron Hendrickson is a freshman in both band and choir, auditioned and was selected for the Wisconsin Middle Level State Honors Choir. She'll be rehearsing and performing in concert with top musicians from around the state on October 29th. Miss Van Scandal's students have been busy selling sweet corn and are continually selling out. There were several students that showed animals at the Wisconsin State Fair, including John Wackershauser, Karina Pitson, Brandon and Brady Colthart. Morgan Van Scandal had a winning winter calf and a winning 2-year-old Holstein cow, and Ava Leibfried had the reserve champion Angus. Grant County Fair began today, and I'm sure that we will be well represented. I'd like to welcome Mr. Jacob Glennon as the new middle school activities director. Mr. Glennon has previous teaching experience and is excited to work with the students and families of our district. Ben was kind enough to put together an entire report for me of all the projects that are going on. So LED stadium lighting has been completed and tested. Each fixture is 400 watts brighter than the previous, for a total of 12,800 watts more light output, while each pole is actually using 15 amps less than the previous. So we can have a cost savings there. There's also no warm-up time for either on or off. Total sponsorship that was provided to the district from Germain Electric is just around $12,000. They didn't charge for an additional work that was needed for the lights when installing them. We have some banners that are being made to put up on the bleachers for that. West. Light poles are starting to rot at the top. They are the original with the field from 1974. They did cap them and cover them with rubber so that they will not rot any further, but down the road they might need to look at replacing. Asbestos has all been taken care of. All the hallways and rooms are completely taken care of now. All tile and carpet squares have been installed. There was additional cost to repair cracking in the floor where the old rotunda was. Water bottle filler in the gymnasium is 90% complete. They removed both old porcelain units and blocked where the second unit was. Track shed is all done. Tin has been replaced and the lower boards. Gaps have been sealed to deter rodents, and gutters have been installed to divert water. Scott Wright is working on having some decals made for the north and east sides of the building. And there's some minor landscaping that has to be finished. AC unit was put into the high school kitchen. And the IT server room was replaced with their AC unit. It was always freezing up because of some low freon. And the water heater in the high school shop has been replaced and it's up and running. Beyond that, we have new tables in the middle school commons area for the students to eat breakfast and for additional workspace. They are covered in whiteboard material so the students can draw on them while they're working. The building has been starting to buzz with staff returning to the classrooms in preparation for the new school year. Students have also been in the building. We had compete camp going on, volleyball and football practices are beginning. I know the girls golf had a meet this week as well. Speaking of volleyball, special congratulations goes out to our Cuba City girls volleyball team as they were the recipients of the 2022 USMC AVCA Team Academic Award. It's awarded to programs that have a team average GPA of 3.3 or higher for the entire school year. So congratulations to Coach Lawson and her team for earning this achievement. And finally, I wanted to recognize Coach Kopp and the football team. They pitched in after practice Tuesday night to go over and help St. Rose Church with the moving of all the pews as they're getting new carpeting. It's great to see the athletes helping out in the community. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Sander. Do you want to go to Heather first and then you do the other three? Or
Sure, yeah. Let's go.
Heather?
Okay, school business manager report. Mr. Olson and I are continuing to work on scrubbing the 22-23 budget, and we will share more information about the budget with the Budget and Finance Committee in September. I've submitted the district's 21-22 school calendar and school census report to DPI. I've also submitted the district's summer school transportation report. We had a little more than a 10% increase over last year, so that's great to see. 2 weeks ago, we had our audit and that everything went well with the audit. I'm still gathering information for them as they request it, and they will issue their final report to the district this fall. As of August 15th, the state average estimated equalized evaluation growth is 14%. So what that means is that's going to impact our tax levy planning, referendum planning, and future state aid. And Baird should be sending us preliminary estimates for our district in the next few days. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Here.
All right, I've got three of them here. So elementary report, we are all set with new staff at the elementary school. We'll act on those today. Finishing touches are being completed to our building. So we look forward to having staff back next week. They'll be preparing their classrooms, participating in professional development, and ready for students September 1st. And we have our open house Thursday, August 25th from 4 to 7. That's the elementary. And special ed report, a lot of staff movement this summer. Mr. Sander, Mr. Kraus, and Deb have conducted interviews and filled all vacant special ed positions, and those recommendations will be coming tonight. There's been little movement regarding students with IEPs transferring in or out of the district, which is good. That's allowed her to review caseloads and review needs and adjust caseloads. The administrative team has been working on preparing for the upcoming school year and next week's staff and service. So that's special ed. And then district report, been working with Bray Architects and doing some preliminary referendum communication work. Continue to work with the principals on onboarding in our summer administrative meetings. We finished up collective bargaining with the CCEA. We'll act on that tonight. And we continue to work with Russ Stratton Busing and actually the Southwest School District on transportation to see if there's any ways we can work smarter and not harder together and try to save some funds for both districts. Last week we met with Chief Terpstra and did our annual safety meeting and found some different things that we can do to make sure that everybody's safe during school and during events. Want to thank Ben for his work on the football lights. When we were looking during the last referendum, we looked at replacing all 4 of those. And was that with the poles, Ben? Do you remember? Or was that just it was just the lights? And I believe Ben was able to get those lights for 25% of what our bid was 4 years ago. So a lot of communication, a lot of talking, and a lot of labor from Ben. I'll help you with this. I'll help you with that. So thank you very much for that. And a big thank you to Allegiant Oil for a large donation of elementary school classroom supplies that Brad brought last time. So thank you very much for that. That's everything.
Thank you. Public recognition. First on our list is Mrs. Joel and students that went to Spain.
All right, beginning of July, we had the opportunity, or I had the opportunity to be one of 3 chaperones that assisted or went with 10 students from Cuba City to Spain. The first 2 days were very tiresome. It was a lot of travel in the first day, and we got there what would have been about midnight, 1 o'clock a.m. our time, and it was 9 o'clock a.m. their time. So we just kept on and going. Needless to say, we did a lot of walking that day. We did a walking tour of Madrid. And by the end of the night, we were ready for some sleep after that first 28 hours of nonstop go. Day 2, we did Segovia. And then, Madrid is central Spain, and then we did central Spain and south from there. So we traveled a lot of miles in a short amount of time, but we got to go to Segovia, a lot of history, a lot of rich history, to see where, to tour castles, to see where some of even United States history was established in Spain and how it still connects to our area. Then we headed to Toledo, Granada. We then headed south to Gibraltar, which is actually a territory of the UK. And from there, it was a little hazy, but on a typical day, you can see Morocco or Africa from Gibraltar. I think the highlight of Gibraltar was all the monkeys that were just everywhere, that they run right in front of you. Or in the past, I know that they had climbed on people's backs, but COVID kind of put a stop to that as they became a little more hesitant of the people. The highlight for a lot of students was the beach day, where they got to just take a relaxing day and do nothing and sit at the beach. And then we started our way back to Spain, or back to Madrid, heading through Sevilla and Cordoba. So do you want to tell us about your experience?
Yeah, so it was just really, really cool to see like all the different culture. Like we hear a lot growing up about like the Muslims that were kind of in like the Middle Eastern area, and then like all of like the Catholic history about like kind of pushing them out. And it's just really, really cool to see. Like we saw things like Christopher Columbus's tomb and just a bunch of stuff that you hear about growing up that you never like ever thought that you would see. Even the stuff that I learned about kind of in high school, like I came back and I was asking Miss Van, I was like, the cows over there, they just looked weird, like they looked skinny and they definitely were not Angus. And she was just like, they have different breeds over there and they just eat different. And so like, it was just cool to see like, even like the dairy products over there tasted different and just like all that stuff that you wouldn't really think about when you're here, like you just start thinking about over there. So I just thought it was really, really awesome experience. And if any of you guys have kids, I would definitely recommend trying to send them up because it is so cool.
It was a great opportunity. I think all of us would probably hop on a plane again if we could. Yep.
The food is amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for your time, Julie, and the rest of the chaperones to give those kids that opportunity. My girls were able to go, obviously, and they had a wonderful time, so thank you.
Sarah.
I think Sarah signed in. Sarah, would you like to speak?
Christina has the handout she's going to hand out to you. I'm here representing the CCEA. We, the Cuba City Education Association, would like to take this time to recognize and thank all that participated in the Personnel Committee meetings and the negotiations and bargaining meetings this past school year and throughout the summer. We appreciate the efforts of each member from the CCSD board and the CCEA committee. So thank you very much for all the work that you put in. We acknowledge all the time, 3 meetings, 2 with legal counsel, that this process took. Throughout these meetings, we faced hurdles and jointly we continued on. So again, thank you. We reached an agreement with the CCSD board's 3rd proposal. I know it says tertiary, but I knew I couldn't really say that word. This
You said it.
This offer gives a 4.7% increase to only certified staff at BA2, the starting salary of a certified teacher. Additionally, the one-time stipend allocated as the board and the CCEA agree upon recognizes longevity, giving those at the end of our salary schedule an effective increase of approximately 3.87%. Prior to this agreement, the 4.7% increase on the starting salary only resulted in an increase for veterans of 2.72%. So we are very thankful for the one-time bonus. It was a large part of our negotiations. CCEA's goal is to compensate certified staff equitably and include longevity. The accepted proposal is nearing equitability. As we look forward, we have long-term concerns with compensation equitability. Certified staff compensation is calculated off the starting salary, whereas staff with individual contracts are compensated off their current salaries. We would like to see a more uniform treatment of all employees throughout the district. In closing, we appreciate how far we have come in our most recent negotiations. We would really like to offer a sincere thank you for all the time, the discussions, and the efforts put into this process. We truly believe in striving for excellence. We know that together, the CCSD board and the Cuba City Education Association will do what is best for our students, staff, district, and communities. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so move on to our
Move on to our resolutions.
number 6.
Okay, the first resolution is authorizing general obligation bonds in the amount not to exceed $26,850,000. So this would be for the base plan. This is the building referendum portion of this. There's 3 different resolutions that we have to approve tonight. One is the building referendum, which would be letter A. Then B would be the operating referendum. And then C is resolution to have the election and have these 2 questions on the election. So those 2. So any questions? There's no changes in the base plan from Bray or from anything that we've talked about. The base plan we were talking about 6 months ago is still the base plan today. And that number, we hope inflation doesn't cut anything from that. But any questions?
None.
All right. So someone will move.
I'll move to approve the initial resolution authorizing general obligation bonds in the amount not to exceed $26,850,000 as presented.
Second.
Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Zana.
Can you raise
Can
your
give a
hand,
thumbs
Don?
up? Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
there we go.
Now we can hear you.
Sorry. Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
The second resolution is to exceed revenue limit by $200,000 for recurring purposes. So again, with both plans, the total increase that it would be is 97 cents per every, or 97 cents on the mill rate. So when we sent the survey out, we were looking at a 97% increase over last year's. But we knew we were, sorry, 97 cent, not percent. That's a very different, that changes that sentence.
Big
quite a
number.
bit. 97 cent increase over last year's school mill rate. So when the state aid came in, the equalized value came in, we were able to look at that and say, okay, it happened to be that we could have a $200,000 recurring operating referendum plus the building referendum for 97 cents. So it came out to be about the same. We knew we were going to try to do a operating referendum, but probably the year after, with the state not providing any new money per student last year or this year. That 200,000 will hopefully, if the state kicks in what we think they're going to kick in, would allow us to meet all of our current needs and then add utilities for all those, the extra square footage. So do we have a motion for that?
I'll move to approve the resolution authorizing the school district budget to exceed revenue limit by $200,000 for recurring purposes as presented.
A second.
Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Third resolution is just saying that we are going to add these questions to the election, and that would be Tuesday, November 8th. that motion. 'cause it's
I'll
a
make that
really
motion
long.
small.
You say so moved.
I'll move to approve the resolution providing for a referendum election on the questions of the approval of an initial resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds in the amount not to exceed $26,850,000 and a resolution authorizing the school district budget to exceed revenue limit by $200,000 for recurring purposes as presented.
Second,
Collins,
yes.
Yes.
White, Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Number 7, new business there.
Yep, next one is the COVID matrix. So other schools in the area have been sharing their COVID matrices after their board approves them. And a lot of them are like ours. About half are very similar to ours. And half of them just said we got rid of ours. So that's something to discuss. Last time we talked about this, when our numbers were getting really low, the discussion from the board was generally, let's keep that, because then if there is a big spike, we're prepared. But it would cause it would mean a lot of cases had to be going on in school for us to get to that substantial transmission orange. So the first one, I just want to hear if you guys want to continue to use this, or do we just not use it? My recommendation would be to keep it and make these changes, but I want to hear what you guys are thinking.
I'd say it's the same. I think we get rid of it.
My reasoning, similar to our discussion over the summer, last spring, was just I'd rather have it on the books in case something escalates, and unfortunately may not be COVID. It might be a structure for further pandemics. I'd rather have it
But
than not have it.
is this only COVID related though?
You're right. This is
Right,
only
so that
related
has nothing to do
for
with
now.
any other thing besides
Yeah,
COVID.
let's hope we don't get another one.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, I don't really look at numbers and look at everything CDC says we should go back. I mean, right, 95% is safe. That's what they
CDC
say.
says that 95% of people have some form of immunity now. So they either have the vaccine or they have had it, or some of us have both, are fully vaccinated and have had it. So that's kind of what they're recommending right now.
I would be okay with eliminating it as well. I feel like if we get to a point where we need to consider this, we're gonna have to talk about it and meet and figure out a case. Anyway, it's not gonna happen exactly the way it happened round 1. So regardless, we're gonna need to talk about it. Is there a reason that we couldn't keep this and dust it off if we need to?
Nope,
And not create,
It's saved on our Google
confusion.
Drive, so
Right.
whenever we need it, we can have it.
Any other discussion, Chuck? Your feeling?
Well, we need to keep something on there just in case we gotta make an adjustment during the school year if it flares up.
I think that's what they're saying, is if it does
Yeah.
flare up, we'd have a special
That's what I
meeting.
would
Yeah,
Say at this
special
time.
keep
meeting
it there
to
just in
bring
case
it
we
up.
have to adjust it. Is my concern. Hopefully
Yeah,
we do
we've
not.
we've gone through about 7 different renditions of this one, so I mean, we've got all of them on file if we need them.
Hopefully we don't have to use them.
I think either way, I mean, what is the benefit of keeping it on if we're gonna have it, if we're gonna talk about it first regardless?
And I guess I was thinking to avoid having a special meeting just to bring it back. But if we think we'd have to adjust parts of it on a case-by-case basis anyway, then I could be more flexible.
We know
So-
how much things have changed and how they
Right.
keep changing. I don't know how.
Right.
The other thing with so many home tests, I think that's how a lot of people are doing testing now. And some people are going to call the school and say, "Yep, we tested positive." And some people said, "My kid's sick. I'm just going to keep him home for a while." It's not like it's not like all the tests are going to the county and then we get a report anymore. That's not going to happen. So if we do scrap this, I think what we have to do is just really inform the parents that more than ever, when your kids are sick, you need to keep them home. Gary and Don, do you guys have anything that you want to add?
I was just, go ahead, Gary. I was just listening to the conversation because I guess at this point, having COVID presently with little or no symptoms and knowing a whole bunch of people who have it. In fact, it's, very prevalent in Grant County as we speak. I don't know that, the COVID matrix is going to do a whole lot, one, to prevent it. And, I guess I would say probably scrap it because we don't have a matrix for flu or the cold or whatever. And at this point, urge or stress to people that, they do need to keep their kid home. I mean, I know I heard this morning that the government's going to stop paying, for basically providing vaccine and or test kits for people. So they're going to refer you to your local healthcare provider. So, at this point, I think that, we've got a whole bunch of people who never chose to get vaccinated. And we've got a whole bunch that aren't going to test even if they are positive. I mean, I only did it because we had family coming home and with a pregnant daughter who, again, chose not to be vaccinated. So, at this point, regardless of whether we keep that or not, I don't know we're going to change anybody's opinions or behaviors.
Okay, Don?
I completely agree with what Gary said. That's exactly what my thoughts are too, as well.
So with that, Aaron, do we need a different motion to?
Yeah, the motion would just be to abandon the COVID matrix. Or maybe we say suspend, because I think that's what we're saying is suspend it. Right now, we're not going to use it, but if we need it, we'll bring it back. I think that's probably the better word.
Okay.
So who wants to make that as move to approve a suspension of the COVID matrix?
I'll move to approve a suspension of the COVID matrix as presented.
I'll second.
I will second it. You already got one. That's all right.
All right. Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
No.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Number B, handbook information.
All right, I'll take Troy's. Okay. So if you guys are looking, you'll see a section and page on the left, the old language in the middle column, new language on the right. Moving down here, a lot of name changes, moving from this name to that name. Some of these are just kind of, instead of using we put parents and guardians. So some of these are minor language. Communication 5 on page 5, it says check your school district app. We no longer have that school district app, so we'll remove that section. Grade 5, as we're moving to, or grades on page 5, as we're making a move towards standard-based grading at the elementary, just wanted to have that, the grading this year, some people are going to be piloting that. So if we had the structure in there and a teacher isn't using that, we had to make sure the parents knew some classes are doing this and some are not. With retention, again, instead of having failed courses, you're going to be working below grade level with standard-based grading. Some other minor language changes. When students are going to be allowed into the building, no changes for inclement weather, but otherwise, instead of 7:45 deep breakfast, it'll be 8 o'clock, and there will be time allowed during that, or right after 8 o'clock before breakfast. Some visitor language, make sure that we're having a visitor badge, so whenever there's a visitor in the building, they've got a badge on there. That's just a safety thing that Troy put in here a couple different times. For visitors, we changed the lunch prices. Then a lot of name changes from Mr. Lutz to Mr. Kraus. That's everything on that is the student and parent handbook. Any questions?
No. You want to make a motion?
I'll move to approve changes to the CCES Student and Parent Handbook as presented.
I'll second.
Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Number C, the professional guidelines, Aaron.
Yep, again, some name changes, updated all the name changes for staff. Absences, parents and relatives should not be allowed in to take their kids from the classroom. They should be waiting in the office. Arrival time, we talked about that one also in the other one. Kind of a staggered time with K2 out at 3:15, 3:05 entering at 3:20. Hopefully that'll help with some traffic. Language changes going from principal post to Cuban corner. Personalities to situations, just language changes. Copier, moving something from 2 to 3 on page 10. Lunch changes. We have in our policy actually that no district personnel can charge for lunches, and that had been practice. We have a policy that says that adults cannot charge for lunch. So that's just something Mr. Kraus will have to make sure he reminds everybody of. Moving from should to must, some other language changes. And instead of informing local newspaper about things, we did say put in there the communication team. And the communication team, if they think, yep, this is a newspaper article, they usually will reach out on that app. But we want to make sure that we're utilizing our communication team as well. Some supervision change, make sure teachers stay with students until they're picked up. And if the parents don't come, they bring them back to the office. Playground supervision, the only change there was teachers and staff should remain standing, spread out, and continually circulate. Visitors will have to have a pass and remain outside the classroom area. Some other language changes as well. And then something on the report card, a change just because we're moving to standard-based grading for some. And I know Tina is working on standard-based grading grade book, and there's no rush in that. I remember when I did that as a principal, it's a long process.
Yes, it is.
They talk to you about.
You probably don't want to bring it up right now.
Yeah, but it is a long process. We understand that.
Yes.
So we're not in a rush to do that because that takes time. So any questions on that?
I will make a motion to approve the CCES professional guidelines as presented.
I'll second.
Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Powell.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item D, the middle school student parent handbook, Aaron.
And that's going to go to Chris.
Oh.
But, I'll make sure he has what he needs. There you go. These three.
So the middle school, yeah, it was changing a bunch of staff changes, so we changed a lot of names. We did take out the accelerated math for 8th grade as we're no longer advancing 8th grade students. We changed the withdrawing classes. It was originally listed as 3 weeks. We want to change it to 2 weeks so that we're consistent across the district as far as, high school change. If you drop a class, it has to be within the first 2 weeks. So we've got that. As middle school, it's only band and choir that it really affects, but we wanted to make sure it was the same. And then it currently reads the student has received multiple level 1 referrals. We wanted to put a specific number on that, so we changed it to 3 level 1 referrals. So we actually have something that's concrete. And then it was just changing the compliance officer from Aaron to Troy.
Do I have a motion on that?
I'll move to approve changes to the CCMS student and parent handbook as presented.
I will second. Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Powell.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item E, the high school handbook. I assume that's Mr. Sanders as well.
Yep, the high school one, we only had one change due to some unforeseen glitches that would have involved having to start the scheduling process completely over. We took out the Wednesday and Thursday block schedule and made it a Monday through Thursday. So we're going to have just the 9-period day this year instead of the modified block.
And could I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the changes to the CCHS student and parent handbook as presented.
I'll second.
Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poole.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item F, the middle school, high school professional guidelines.
Yep, so a couple changes there. The old language, it says that there's 45 or 46-minute classes. Because of the 9 periods, it's 43 to 44 minutes, so we're changing that. The bells for the 2-hour delays, we just wanted to look at it. I don't know that there were any changes. It might be a little bit different because of the 9-period day, but we're gonna make that. There's some language in there that says we have a behavior counselor. We don't have a behavior counselor, so we're gonna take that part out. I had in here about the field trip, but actually, as I talked with Pam about it, one is about field trips and the other one's about sports. So we were gonna leave that one alone. Some spelling changes, and we wanted to check the pricing. Everything is current, so there's no change there. And then there was one spot where it said, please notify Ms. Olson. We changed that to myself.
Before, I think you had some questions in this link in ours, so can that just be updated to what Chris's updates were? Like just, unless you've already done that. When I looked at this, there was,
Yeah, I have the copy here too, where it's just on a few of the edits.
doesn't-
Chris had just made note of what he wanted to change, but now it sounds like they changed just a little bit.
so we can go with what was presented, but just for documentation purposes to
Yep.
change that.
Make
in
sure.
Right.
Got it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Peeking at the sheet.
I'll move to approve changes to CCMS HS professional guidelines as presented.
I will second. Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poole.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item G, changes to the district handbook. Aaron,
Yep.
you have that one?
Yep, we had a misspelled word that we'll change that from state to state. And then the next 3 were all about the cash in lieu of insurance. It used to be 80% of monthly single insurance, now it's a flat 4,000. And then the last one on page 7, during COVID, some some higher ed places went past fail instead of ABCD just during COVID time, and we allowed that for 2 years and said that would stop working in the state. We're just going to take that out because we're past that date now.
I'll move to approve. I'll move to approve changes to the district handbook as presented.
I'll second.
Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poole.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item H, approve the salary increase for certified staff.
Yep. We met with the personnel committee, and personnel committee is recommending that we approve the salary increase for certified staff.
I'll move to approve salary increases for certified staff as presented.
I was just checking if you had a comment.
I'll second it.
Oh, okay. All right. Andrews.
Yes.
Oops.
I started backwards. Sorry. Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poole.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
All right. Motion carried.
All right.
The personnel meeting also, last night, they also approved the support staff wage increases as well, as presented.
I will move to approve the wage increases for the support staff as presented.
Second.
Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poole.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
J, approve salary increases for administrative staff.
Personnel committee also recommends that we approve the salary increases for administration.
I move to approve salary increases
Do
for
we have questions
administrative.
on this, or? was it-
Yes. No.
I just wondered, have they all been notified what they're gonna get, or?
No, until you guys say that's what they get, I don't want to tell somebody you're going to get this and then it changes.
I didn't know if they were involved in that or not, they're just,
Right.
All right,
So I have a motion from Collins. Is there a second?
I'll second.
That was done.
Collins,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll,
yes,
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews. Motion carried.
I want to thank the Personnel Committee as well as the CCEA for all of the work in reaching these agreements.
We got a pretty good representation of the CCEA out there here, just so you can see them all there.
I agree.
All right, then item 8, personnel.
Yep, approve the hiring of Libby Schaff as part-time food service employee. Do you have a motion?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Libby Schaff as part-time food service employee as presented.
I'll second.
Collins,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll,
Yes,
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next is approve the hiring of Jacob Lennon as Cuba City Middle School Activities Director. Do you have a motion?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Jacob Glennon as Cuba City Middle School Activities Director as presented.
Second.
Collins,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll,
yes,
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next is approve the hiring of Miss Megan Davis as Cuba City Elementary School Special Education Teacher.
I'll move to approve the hiring of Miss Megan Davis as Cuba City Elementary School Special Education Teacher as presented.
I'll second.
Collins.
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll,
yes,
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next is approve the hiring of David Marsh as freshman boys basketball coach.
I'll move to approve the hiring of David Barch as freshman boys basketball coach as presented.
Second.
Collins.
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll,
yes,
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next is approve volunteer assistant coaches. We've got several of them here. So the first one is Troy Updike. And this is for assistant high school football coach. Is that right, Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
I'll move to approve Mr. Troy Updike as the volunteer high school football coach as presented.
I'll
Second.
second.
Collins.
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll,
Yes,
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next, approve volunteer assistant high school football coach Ross Griffin.
I'll move to approve Mr. Ross Griffin as volunteer high school football coach as presented.
I will second. Collins.
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll,
yes,
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next, approve volunteer assistant football coach Cody Meyer.
I'll move to approve Mr. Cody Meyer as a volunteer football coach as presented.
I'll
Second.
second. I'll second.
Don't fight over it. Collins.
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll,
yes,
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next is approve volunteer assistant football coach Brian Colthart. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve Mr. Brian Colthart as a volunteer football coach as presented.
Second.
Collins.
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll,
yes,
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Now we have approved volunteer assistant middle school football coach, Ned Schoaf.
Is it assistant or coach?
It's assistant,
Okay,
correct.
I'll move
I
to.
will,
approve-
I will
go ahead, Gary.
move to approve Mr. Ned Schaaf as the volunteer middle school football coach as presented.
I'll second.
That was done.
Collins.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poole.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Committee reports.
Yep, budget and finance will be scheduling time in early September to go through the next draft of the budget. Building the grounds, we last met on May 16th. We'll probably meet early in September just to see what we have going on for the rest of the school year. Communications review and strategic planning, we've been doing that probably with our special meetings. Curriculum, instruction, and assessment, we'll start that up again in September. We've got 3 different departments that have to come in, so September, October, and November. Personnel, we last met August,
Last night.
last night was August 16th. We talked about all the things we voted on tonight. Policy, our policy advisors say sometime around mid-October, we'll probably have another one. Technology, well, that's when we'll get our next revision. We'll schedule it sometime after that. Technology and transportation, we met Monday, August 15th with the Southwestern School District to talk about ways that we can maybe work together for some transportation relief for both of our districts. And foundation, we'll meet again in January.
When will we meet again with technology and transportation?
We said late September or early October, but we don't have a date yet.
Okay.
I think they usually meet on Mondays, and we usually meet on Wednesdays, so we're trying to find some dates. Any questions on committees? All right.
I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks for coming on, guys.